What's going on, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and this is just part 2 of the Usman Garuba full game video breakdown. So let's get right into it. Remember, he's going to be number 16 in the whites. He started this game. This is a playoff game in the EuroLeague. Played around 32 minutes. First half, he did a little bit of everything. He defended pretty well. Did he score? I think he scored maybe a layup. But yeah, we saw a little bit of everything. I talked about kind of just how good he is defensively and how he kind of needs to grow offensively. Personally for me, we talked about how his overall size I think is a little bit not concerning, but just kind of interesting because he's only 6'8", 6'9". Do you play him as a small ball 5? Do you play him on the wing? It's gonna be very interesting to see what the team that drafts Garuba does with him, because I do think there is a lot of maybe untapped potential with him in the sense that maybe he could become a Jeremy Grant type because he is that similar size. But also right now I think he plays a lot more like a small ball 5. So it's kind of just he's only 19 years old, but he's played at Real Madrid I think for 3 seasons. And it's okay, how much have we already seen of him, right? So I think it's just kind of an interesting little thought experiment in a way, just kind of just to kind of see where he ends up and kind of, weigh the different roles that he could play as the other team headed 3 right there. Colin Cowherd, I know tons of different people have different kind of, takes on him. I've personally always liked listening to him. He always says this about Alabama players in the NFL draft, that they tend to almost underperform given their college careers because of how much Nick Saban can get out of them, right? And so they tend to reach their ceilings while they're in college, and so thus a team will draft a guy in the first round, and then they maybe aren't worthy of that draft position, right? I wonder if the same thing is kind of going on with Usman Garuba, where it's okay, he's been here for 3 years. He's been playing professional basketball since he was, 17, 16 years old? And so, how much of his ceiling is actually already met? And I know he's only 19 years old, but it's just kind of an interesting little thought experiment. How similar will he be in terms of his playing in the NBA versus when he was playing in the EuroLeague and the ACB in Spain? I think that's something that I think could really... it's not really a concern for me because I think he's a valuable NBA player regardless of whether or not he improves his jump shot. But, it's kind of interesting to think about, okay, what's his ceiling given the fact that he's already been playing in a professional system for the past 3 years. And so that's something that I'm just kind of thinking about with Garuba. I got a little bit of pushback for having him so low in my first round. I said he was more 20 to 30 range. A lot of people have him 15 to 20. With me, it's just that, what can he offer offensively? That's kind of where I am, worried about him the most, and I mentioned that several times in the first half video, and I'll continue to harp on it in the second half, just because that's kind of the thing with Garuba, right? We already know he's probably one of the best defenders in this draft, right there. He's going to contest it, and not much going on. Let's see if they hit the 3. No, over the backboard, and we got Madrid ball, I think. But no, defensively, you already know he's legit, right? He's shown that in the best league outside of the NBA in the world. And so, we're okay with that. And so that gives him a pretty solid floor. It's just about, at 15, are you really looking for a guy with that projectable of a floor, or are you looking for a guy with higher upside? For me, I'm looking for a guy with a little bit higher upside. I also think this class is a little bit deeper in that range, and that kind of, late lottery to 20 range, It's always fun to kind of just, right there, he kind of got stuck in quicksand. Maybe could have stunted over a little bit better, but it's always just kind of interesting to see, what, just to compare certain prospects and put them in different draft classes, right? We'll see if he hits this 3. All right, there we go, Garuba. So, if he hits this 3 consistently, right, if he adds a little bit better of a handle, right, all of a sudden, he's becoming, one of the better, not playmakers, but just one of the better, wing options in this draft, right? So I think it's interesting. Again, only a 27.5% three-point shooter. He knocks that one down, but you can see the shot's pretty low. It's kind of just a very, it's a set shot. And so I don't really buy the shot long term, unfortunately. And again, that's why I'm a little bit lower on him than most, I would say. Some people do have like confidence in his shot growing, and just his overall offensive feel getting better. For me, I'm more kind of banking on him as being like a small ball five who can defend any position, right? And then maybe do some things in the short roll. Good tip out right there by Garuba. Let's see what we got here. He's going to set a ball screen again. Very good screener, just because of that thick frame. He gets that good screens. We mentioned like the Rudy Gobert screen assists. That could be Garuba as well. We'll see what happens here. Again, he's going to take another three. I don't know what happened here. This had to have gotten deflected, right? Let's see. All right, so again, you can see kind of just like the shot is just so like just kind of like it's compact in a way where it's not supposed to be. He doesn't really like release it at a high point. He doesn't really jump a whole lot. And again, I don't know what happened here, but it was woefully short. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that shot was deflected. But yeah. So let's see what we got. He's on the weak side right now. And turnover. Real Madrid ball. So we got a timeout here. Yeah. And we're back. Garuba doing a little bit of that dribble handoff action at the top of the key, which I think that he would be really good at in the NBA. And that's something that you see a ton of NBA centers doing. From Wendell Carter to Vucevic to, Draymond does it when he plays small ball five to Bam Adebayo. Like, they all are running that type of action, so I think Garuba can fit in right there. And again, that's why I'm kind of seeing him more as like a small ball five or a power forward center rather than like a guy on a true wing. Let's see what we got here. Nothing much. So here's Garuba going to set that ball screen. He's going to slip out top of the key. Again, dribble hand. Not really even a dribble handoff, more just like a handoff. But we got, again, Garuba fighting for that offensive rebound. Can't get it. I think they wanted the foul right there to stop that transition play. And here's Garuba on the ball. He's going to switch that screen. We talked about how a lot. I don't really think Real Madrid used him properly, at least in the game I'm watching. If you guys watched more of him in like EuroLeague or ACB, you could let me know if I'm wrong. But like, they seem to be like having him run drop coverage a lot, and personally, I think that's kind of like cutting his production and value in half almost. Because his main thing is that he's so switchable defensively. This is a really awesome pass by Garuba, and we talked about how the best thing right now about his offensive game is probably that quick decision passing. We saw in the first half he had that, that jump pat, like he caught it and then he threw it right to an open teammate while he was still in the air, right? Similar thing right here. He's going to roll, and again, just simple stuff. Manages to fit that pass through the window, and again, he's a very good tight window passer. I think that's something that's really, promising about his game, and again, that kind of shows the overall intelligence that he has as a player. What was I saying before that? Small ball five. I don't even know. So you got deep three. Oh, they drill it. Wow. But again, I was talking about the scheme thing, right? So like a lot of times in this game, especially, they were running drop coverage with Garuba, and again, that's cutting his value in half because his best attribute is switching defensively. And so, like, that's what he's going to do in the NBA a ton, because he's a guy that can come in, play the five, get rebounds, not really have a team lose anything there, right, while also being able to play at the level of the screen. He is matchup resistant, which I think is really important for an NBA center to have. And, he's not the best rim protector, but if a team wants to go small, he can provide enough, like, interior bulk for that to happen, right? And so, again, he's one of these guys where we talked about it last time where I think was it with Day'Ron Sharp, right? And how, he's going to be a better playoff player than a regular season player. And what I mean by that is that, his value won't be as apparent in the regular season as it will be in the playoffs, right? Because the playoffs are the matchups are so dialed in, right? Everybody's so hyper-focused on where they can get advantages and take advantage of a weak player defensively or a weak link, right? And Garuba, you can't take advantage of him on the defensive end, right? Because he's so good 1 through 5. And he also, right there, bad bite on that shot fake, but I think they traveled. Yeah. But you can't take advantage of him. Also, he gives you like a different look defensively without really losing anything on that end either, right? Because he can play small ball 5. Like if he goes to the Clippers, which I had in my mock draft, right? Let's see what we got here. Timeout looks like. Long timeout. There we go. Well, if he goes to the Clippers, let's say, right, we had Serge Ibaka out for the entire playoffs, basically, and so Zubac had to play a lot of 5. What happens? They attack him in drop coverage. Garuba doesn't have to do that. He could play the 5 while also, being just a stifling force on the defensive end, and that's going to be his major value. And so when I say, in the regular season, it might not be the flashiest thing. Like, he'll show some, potential, obviously. Like, he'll have some good games in the regular season, but, it'll be very apparent how valuable he can be in the playoffs. And so for me, that's what's kind of selling me on him, at least right now. And then obviously I could be wrong if let's say, his handle gets better. Let's say his jump shot gets better and he gets to the point where he can be a Luol Deng type. That would be just absolutely awesome for him. Kind of because I'd say Luol Deng just because that kind of that combo forward type, probably too big to be a small forward necessarily. But then just having that, that strong bulky frame to play, 4, maybe even some small ball 5. Not that Luol Deng was really a small ball 5, but just kind of that combo forward type who can hit jump shots and then obviously provide really good defense as well. I would say that's probably the ceiling outcome for Garuba, kind of being that Luol Deng. And the reason why I say him as opposed to a Bam Adebayo is because I think right now, if I'm looking at it, I think a Luol Deng type, someone who plays on the wings, right, is more valuable inherently in the NBA than somebody who plays the 5 like Bam. And so I think if Garuba can kind of not shift his game more to a wing role, then it becomes a lot more interesting, I think, in terms of his development. But honestly, that's why I have him kind of lower, I think, is because he really doesn't have a very polished offensive skill set, and I think he's more of a small ball 5. So it's kind of a combination of both of those things. And again, I like the center position. I'm not anti-center, but I just think with a 15th overall, right, you're gonna want a guy that can maybe create his own shot a little bit more consistently, I would say. Right there, Garuba, really strong roll towards the basket. You can see kind of the delayed pick and roll. Great pass from this point guard right here, too. And again, simple pass, easy layup for Garuba. Nice job overall. And again, obviously, is Bam a top 5 player from his draft class? Yeah, you know what I mean? And so you're going to miss on some of these. But, we see kind of the limitations because he can't really create his own shot at times, right? He doesn't really have an outside jumper. And so while defensively he's really, really good, right? It's just kind of how much more can he do in terms of scoring the ball? And we saw the limitations, obviously, this past season. Even though he's still an all-star level player, it's just kind of okay, in the playoffs, we need somebody who can go get a basket. And, he's definitely improving in that regard, but it's just kind of still not fully there yet. And so with Garuba, it's kind of just the same thing. I think he's a lot more raw than Bam was coming out. But I do think he's probably more inclined to play that center role rather than being on the wing. And so with that comes obviously less. Right there, he wanted to swat that shit. Great tip out from Garuba right there, though, and that's going to be the end of the third quarter. Yep. I believe he's still in for a little bit here. But, yeah, so just kind of goes to, I'm trying to, defend myself because, I know a lot of you guys were saying, oh, yeah, he should be 15-20, right? All this stuff. And I'm okay, yeah, I can kind of understand that. It's just, a combination of, the lack of offensive skills that we see can be a real, minutes killer, right, in the NBA. Also with that, it's just, his position, I think, at 6'8", being a small ball center maybe isn't going to be the quickest avenue for him to get minutes on the floor. I think he's listed as a power forward in a lot of spots. which I think would be a little bit more suited towards him. But again, he needs to get some sort of offensive game, I would say. Right there, he had to switch back onto that roller. Decent contest, but I think that's Dunston, yeah. He got that to go. Let's see what we got here. Deep three from Real Madrid. They can't hit it. And again, remember, this game was actually like crazy at the end. Like, Anadolu kind of got this lead, and then it was just so like nonchalant how fast it happened that Real Madrid just kind of like came back and was just like, okay, yeah, we win. It was very strange. So yeah, kind of an exciting ending. Yeah, Garuba on that roll. Let's see what he got here. And again, right there, I think we saw something like this in the first half too. But he's just trying to force this into a window. And again, I like the decision making. I think or not necessarily the decision making. I like the vision that he shows, right? But right here, this is not a pass where like he should be making that, right? And so, he does have that raw passing potential, especially in the short roll, which I think would make him so valuable. But it's just kind of like, okay, just kind of like tone down some of the wild stuff, and it's kind of like hit and miss with him, but he does show that quick decision-making potential in terms of distributing. And so, again, you'll rather take that than having a guy that doesn't have any feel for the game in that regard. We got a timeout here. And there's Garuba. Is he out for a little bit? Yeah, he's out right here, actually. So I'll skip ahead. He's going to be in at 1:19:24. So let's get there. And here we go. So then Garuba on the wing right now. Looks like he's playing with another big man. Real Madrid was very big into this like switching. It's almost like a zone in a way, right? It's like a matchup zone. Right there, Garuba kind of got sucked in. That's kind of his job, though. So again, kind of right here, he needs to kind of be there for rim protection. But again, this guy, really nice pass to that weak side corner. Not much Garuba can do. That's like perfect offense, really. The whole point of, that type of offense. That's Shane Larkin. Holy shit. Shane Larkin. Wow, that is a name. Again, that's why I love watching these European and these, European League games, because it's like, all of a sudden you just see like a Shane Larkin, David Lighty, all these guys, and you're just like, whoa, But again, the whole point of like modern offense is to kind of manipulate that weak side defender, right? And it's kind of just like, do we go there? If he doesn't commit to the drive, then we have a decent shot at a layup. If he does commit to that drive, then it's going to be an open corner three, right? We talked about it from an offensive angle, but again, defensively, it's kind of hard for Garuba to be, deciding between those two spots. So I don't really blame him in that regard. Looks like we got flagrant. Did they got flagrant on Garuba? It's soft. Let's see what we got there. Again, Garuba right here. Looks like he's... And again, this looks like it's Spain pick and roll, right? Because you can see this guy setting this screen on Garuba, right? And this guy's going to roll. This guy will pop out, and then the point guard kind of gets to do whatever he wants. It looks like Garuba's trying to be in two places at once. Total miscommunication. I think this guy needs to be back on the ball handler. So Garuba's playing drop coverage, but I think he's... Again, you can see this guy's pointing over here. Like, Garuba maybe should be over here, or maybe he should be taking the ball. But you can see he's kind of just like... you're going to see this guy kind of yelling at him. Just a total miscommunication on everybody's part right there. That's a Vaclav Micic, right? Isn't he like the... I think he was supposed to be like the best player in Europe. He was going to come to the NBA, I think. And then something happened. I think he either retired or he's just deciding to stay in Europe. But I know the Thunder were interested in him. That was kind of like the big rumor. We saw, I'm trying to think like of guys like that, like who spend like a significant amount of time overseas and then they just kind of sign with an NBA team. Milos Teodosic, obviously one of those types of guys. Trying to think who else. Again, Garuba in the drop, recovering out to that big. And again, I think this is a scheme thing, right? Because there's no reason for him. You play drop to protect the big man, right? That's basically why you play the drop coverage. You don't need to protect Garuba right here. So why is he just going so far back? Just play up level to the screen, right? It's just interesting. But you can see, what did we say in the first half, right? That intelligence defensively. So again, contesting this shot, look at how far back his legs are compared to his arm. That's like textbook, right? Because remember, we see all these cheap fouls on three-point shooters. How to avoid that? you make your contact on the hands rather than down low, because down low you're giving the shooter, in this case number one, like the ability to just kick his legs out, initiate that contact, right? Garuba knows this, and therefore he's extending with his arm, right, and leaving his legs back behind. Very smart, just, instinctual plays from Garuba right there. And we mentioned that in the first half as well, I think. And that was just easy dunk, looks like. Not anything for Garuba. Like, just not anything he could have done there. But, again, they're going to get him in a ball screen. Number 23 rejected it. That's going to be, foul on the ground, it looks like. Now we got, again, good screen 5 Garuba right here. Just simple stuff, right? Because of that frame, he's able to kind of just, level somebody on some of these screens, right? And this one, just enough. Maybe gets away with an illegal screen right there with that little hip check. But he does kind of free up a little bit this shooter if he wants to kind of catch and fire. It wasn't really a clean catch. But, just kind of like showing that value as a screener, which I think is something that he needs to do. Just showing that value, like what can he do off the ball, right? I think that's something that he could do really well. And so I think that's going to be important for him to kind of master if he wants to get any minutes early in his NBA career. And he will get minutes, obviously, because he's a good defender, and that's the easiest way to get minutes if you're a rookie. Right there, we got a foul right here. I don't know what was going on. He was just kind of reaching all over the place. Again, it looks like he maybe wanted that steal, but he's also guarding Micic there, who's like one of the best players in Europe. So only second foul of the game, though. Let's see what we got here. Final 4.5 in this game. And again, they're down by 12, and Real Madrid's going to win this game, which is pretty interesting. Garuba kind of got leveled right there. I think somebody tried to, crotch shot him. Yeah, you can see him he got kind of his legs swiped. That was kind of funny. But by Shane Larkin. We got an official review there. I like the way that they're doing this review. It's kind of cool. Like the review output and then live what the officials are looking at. That's cool. Here we go. Back, another ball screen. And they're going to hit that three. Garuba, really nice job setting the screen. They're going to see, this is what they should be doing with Garuba on the other end, right? Kind of just having this guy play at the level of the screen. Good job by this guy, just kind of rise and fire. But yeah, overall, I'm more frustrated with how they're using him. Garuba, that is, just kind of, just in terms of their scheme. Let's see, he's on the block right now. And again, you can see they're kind of going away from his defender. Or they're kind of going away from Garuba just because they probably know that he's probably a better defender. Right there, he got held on that screen. Managed to give a good contest, though. Oh, that's beautiful basketball. Oh, damn it. That would have been sick if that went in. We got another ball screen here. And here we go, Garuba on the perimeter, right? And again, they're so comfortable. Nobody seems alarmed that he's on this guard right now. And again, not really allowing anything. And then he's helping and recovering, right? He can fly all over the floor, kind of just get to where he needs to go. Solid overall defense right there. Didn't do anything super flashy, but just kind of being sturdy in that role. Guarding, I think that was Micic at the top of the key. Yeah, yeah, there he is. So 29 and 6, that's pretty insane. And here we go. Again, horn set for Real Madrid. Good roll. Garuba, can he finish this? There we go. Good hard roll from Garuba right here out of horns. Good pass from this point guard. And again, way to go up and get that. Having that composure to kind of just rise and finish. Good job from Garuba right there. He's going to get 2 more points, it looks like. Because he does finish with 10 and 9. Which is a very solid effort for a guy playing in this big of a stage. On this big of a stage. But it was just weird. Just look at his game logs and stuff. It just oscillates. It's 32 minutes, 6 minutes, 13 minutes, 29 minutes, 34 minutes, 38 minutes, 16 minutes. It's just very strange how they kind of, It was probably like a matchup thing, I would say, if I had to guess, but I thought it was very odd. And we got three-pointer right there. Not going to miss. Garuba with the offensive rebound again, showing that hustle. Those getting that second chance opportunity for his teammates leads to a three, and you can see it's a 4-point game right now because of that hustle from Garuba primarily. And that's a big-time rebound. So again, that's why I think he's more inclined to play a center than he is at the wing, because I do think he's a pretty good rebounder. Despite being only like 6'8", 6'9", you're not really taking advantage of him in that regard, which I think is a good thing. Shane Larkin's going to launch. He can't hit it. Garuba, again, just fighting for that rebound. Won't get credit for it, right? But he's just tipping it out to the point where a guy can, I think that's Sergio Llull, who gets that rebound. And here comes Real Madrid, right? This is the most composed 14-point comeback that I think I've seen. They were down by 12 with 4.5 left, and now it's a 1-point game, and it just doesn't even feel like anything. It feels like they just didn't even have to take it up a notch. It's very strange. We got Garuba weak side. He's kind of the low man right here. Again, he's responsible for that tag if anything happens. That time he kind of learned, right? So, we saw this on the last time where Larkin was kind of the point guard right here. He got into this area on the floor, right? And Garuba had to go over and help the driver, right? Leaving this guy open for a corner three, and he hit it, right? Garuba this time, though, he's not nearly as aggressive in his help, and you can see him right there. Really good contest right there by Garuba. Again, so kind of learning from his mistakes, quick learner, not going to do the same thing twice. Not that the first one was necessarily a mistake, but just kind of paying attention to, what Larkin wants to do with that pass, right? And obviously right there, he wants to get it to this corner shooter. Garuba's in a much better spot defensively. Really good contest, and again, just the angle, right? Just watch the angle with Garuba. And again, you can see him just kind of using that arm, right? And just kind of, just the arm out there, right? It's kind of like the single ladies video with Beyonce, right? Just kind of the arm right here, and then it's just the entire body is just an arm's length away from it, right? And so that's really impressive stuff, right? Because he's never going to get called for a foul like that. You know what I mean? And that's really, really important because that happens so often, and it's so annoying. And it's so just deflating for a defense. Because a lot of time in that situation, too, if you're contesting a three-point shot, that's usually a very good defensive possession, right? And so when that happens, it's a foul call, and then you basically waste an entire, 24 seconds of good defense, right? And so that shot was just ridiculous, by the way. Garuba setting that screen. He's in the roll. Shane Larkin falls asleep. Bang. Fading away. 3 seconds on the shot clock. What? So, yeah, that was pretty sick. And you can see Real Madrid's already winning this game now. So, again, very interesting just game flow here. But, just Garuba, he's not going to be a guy that makes crucial mistakes defensively. He's solid, and he's also a high upside defender, right? And so that's what you want. That's the two things, right? Because you could have a high upside defender who makes a shit ton of mistakes, right? And so it's kind of like the Javier Baez thing, right? Where we talked about it with, who did we talk about? We talked about it with Jared Butler and his passing, right? It could be the same thing too. You could have a guy that makes so many awesome defensive plays, right? He's super quick, gets all these steals, but then he just falls asleep and lets people backdoor him all the time, right? So with Garuba, you're getting the best of both worlds because he's reliable and he's also very, very high upside, energetic, things like that. And so you're getting that type of defender, which I think is really important. See right here again, 35 seconds left, and again, Anadolu doesn't have to foul here. And so we will see what happens here. Garuba setting that screen and rolling towards the basket. This is such an underrated... Is he going to finish this? He's going to finish that, right? So this is actually this is probably my favorite offensive possession from Garuba the entire game, right? And again, this is why I see him more of a small ball 5 because this is something that centers do, okay? So he's going to set this ball screen and roll to the basket, right? Boom. Watch where he stops. Look at how he's already sealing off number 15 to get this guy an open layup, right? This is very advanced stuff. You see some of the better centers in the NBA doing this. You see some guards like Chris Paul will do this a lot too when he's running some pick and roll variant, right? But you don't see 19-year-olds doing this very often. And this is really impressive because it's a seal, gets his teammate an open layup, he misses it, Garuba is right in the position for the offensive rebound, and then he probably gives them the second most important basket of the entire game, right? Behind that fadeaway three that we just saw. That is by far my favorite Garuba possession offensively from this game, and it comes at probably the most important time in the game. So great for him. And that's going to end it, right? You can see Garuba has 10 and 10. He actually finished with 10 and 9. But they're going to dribble out the clock, and that's it. And see what I mean? Like, that was just a very quick ending to a pretty close game at the end. Like, Anadolu didn't foul for whatever reason. Like, it was very strange, right? Anyway, with that, that is the end of the second half, part 2, Usman Garuba. I like him as a prospect. I just kind of see him more in that 20 to 30 range, probably closer. Like, I would say probably like 23 to 26. He's probably going to end up somewhere. But I like him as a prospect. I think obviously he's a very, very talented defender. And then if he does stuff like that, like we saw in the last possession, where he's stealing the guard's defender, getting just kind of creating open shots for teammates, and then hustling, getting offensive rebounds and tip outs at the other end, like who knows? Maybe he can become like the next Bam Adebayo. I don't know, but right now I think it's a very he's just kind of an interesting prospect to kind of monitor. We'll see what he ends up doing, where he ends up falling in the NBA, just because, like, again, a guy like Garuba, a guy like Josh Giddey, it's so important where they end up, just in terms of, like, what developmental path they're going to end up taking, right? And so, we'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for your continued support. Shout out to, I think it's the Electric Games 100 or whatever. He posted one of my videos on Warriors Reddit, which is awesome. So, thank you for that. And, we will see you later today. I think we're doing Jaden Springer next from Tennessee. So that should be a really fun one. I think he's this year's Desmond Bane in a way with higher upside. So stay tuned for that. And, we will see you then. Thanks.